All right, what's up? I'm back. It's time for a chill game stream. Finally got something to drink so my mouth's not dry. It's just really dry here, especially after it snows and stuff in the winter. It's like horrible. Like I really need a humidifier, but I'm not really into that type of stuff. Like a lot of people around here complain about that. It just gets super dry. And then in the summer, it's kind of humid though in the summer. Anyway, we gotta talk about raves in the '90s now. I'm sure that's what people want to know about. Plus, I gotta build up to the intense super story about the raves. People probably don't know what the raves were like, especially like younger people, because they get a bad name, they get a bad rap, and I mean, of course, in every group there's crazy people, but for the most part, it was good in the beginning. Now, like when I came into it, it was like probably like in the tail end of the illegal party scene when it was actually cool. Because like originally it was like the illegal parties, and it was like that stuff that you see in the movies where you had to get like the secret passcode, and then you go to this place, and then they tell you another secret passcode, and then you go to that place, and then they tell you where the party's actually at, and it was like really hard to find the party. So it was basically like you couldn't get there. You couldn't just like walk into the party. Like there were like 3 different checkpoints usually. So it was like pretty much filtered out anybody who wasn't supposed to be there, because it'd be hard for them to find the place. Well, anyway, so my friend told me about it. My friend from Newark, he was like the first person who like introduced me to like drum and bass type of music and house and hardcore and stuff like that. And he was originally from Newark, North Newark, because he was Portuguese.
Don't you ever not tell me things I want to know.
But his mom got divorced and remarried and moved to like a nice town in the suburbs with like a duck park and all that stuff, and moved him into the basement. And then just like they just basically like tucked him in the basement, and then she tried to like start a new life with like the new guy's like son and everything, and just pretend like he didn't exist, which I think that kind of psychologically messed with him a little bit. But he was a great skateboarder, like at least like semi-pro level. And we used to go down to like Newark and skateboard, which was pretty funny. There were some good skate spots though in Newark, because nobody knew about them, because nobody else would go down to Newark. So it was pretty fun, that type of stuff. But anyway, like really, I even started like DJing before, you know, going to a rave party. So I was always like one of those like assholes that was like, I'm here for the music. I'm here for the music. Trust me, bro. But I really was though, because I mean, you could get the drugs anywhere, really. It wasn't like dependent on you going to a rave or anything like that. And so, you know, I went to a couple, and this is the thing where people talk about going to clubs or whatever and how the music's all loud and stuff. But back in the day, you went to the club with chicks. You know, it was basically like similar to inviting a chick to like a concert or something like that. You know, you'd be like, hey, you know, there's this party this weekend. We're all going. Do you want to come? So it wasn't like you were there trying to pick up chicks. And in fact, it was kind of like a thing where it was kind of like a patriarchal thing, because the raves were kind of dangerous. you know, and the women kind of recognized that there were some dangers there, that they actually did want to go with guys that they trusted and for like protection purposes, and like, you know, we would all stay together in like a group and stuff like that and make sure everybody met up at the same time at the end and made sure everybody got home and all that stuff. We weren't just like abandoning drunk people or high people. Like, oh, where'd she go? Oh, I don't know. No, it was like everybody was accounted for and everybody was protected and taken care of, you know, so it wasn't like we weren't just like completely reckless, I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying? Like, we usually had a plan and all that type of stuff going on. So, you know. Then I started going with my ex's cousin, and he was like in like, because he was a bike messenger in the city, so he was like in like a crew like that played like hardcore music, and they used to throw like illegal raves and stuff like that too. And so, damn. And so he used to come over and like I'd DJ with him, and then we'd go to the party. And like he was straight up straight edge, like, so that's what I'm saying. Like everybody at the rave wasn't getting fucked up. I mean, his girlfriend or now wife, she smoked trees and stuff like that, but he didn't do anything at all. He didn't do any drugs. He didn't drink. He just was a DJ and he liked to dance. So it's like there really were people there like that. And I mean, he was one of the main people that probably went to more raves with him than anybody else, you know. I went to a couple by myself, but that was like in New York though. And so, I mean, that's pretty much how the party scene was back then. It was like you had the illegal parties, and then you had some kind of big ones that were in big clubs. Like they used to have one at like Randall's Island, which was big, and then some of the like bigger like nightclubs would have them every once in a while, but it wasn't like the main thing. Like the main thing, that's what like a rave really was. It was like this party that it was hard to get to, and basically one of the main rules was like you can do everything except alcohol. And I think that pretty much was like the saving grace of it, was the fact that nobody drank. Like people were doing all this other stuff, because like you can see that's like part of the problem in Amsterdam, where like English people go to Amsterdam and then they end up going to the emergency room for smoking too much trees, because, you know, English people like to drink when they're on vacation. It's like what they're known to do. I'm not saying every English person, but, you know, English people are known to drink on vacation. And so, you know, if you drink and then it's your first time, or you never did like some strong stuff like that before, like some properly strong stuff, yeah, you might get a little too messed up, you know, and then you might have to go to the hospital. I think it's like it was like for a long time, it was like the #1 like hospital visit was like drunk English guys, you know, wanted to smoke trees, and then they had like a panic attack. It's like, yeah, if you're like 10 beers in and then you fucking take a hit of some huge hit of some high grade shit, you might have a problem, especially if it's like your first time or you don't do it regularly. But now, I mean, mushrooms are like legal there, you know. So anyway, you know, that was kind of like the thing. It was like, you can do everything but drinking. I don't know, I guess it's because I have a fast metabolism or something. So like, all those like water soluble drugs like don't really do anything to me. Like cocaine and heroin and fucking ecstasy, whatever. It just didn't do anything. So I never did it. And plus it was like super expensive too. So I didn't really have money like that. Yeah, I would have like $10, $15 or whatever. So anyway, you know, that's pretty much how the parties went. You know, you meet up with your friends, go there, listen to the music, have a good time, and then go home. You know, sometimes we'd have some big ones, like we had this one where it was like a full weekend or whatever, but that was pretty rare though. It was called Whistle. Oh my gosh, it was crazy because after they gave out these giant, you know, those giant plastic whistles. What are they gonna do to them? That they have for like kids at like camp. And then they gave one to everyone, and everyone was doing the whistling on the beat with the music. So they were like, and then after you've left the party, like you could still hear the tweeting in your ears for like a day afterwards, which was pretty funny. But that one was like 3 days long. It's like Frankie Bones was there, fucking Carl Cox was there. Well, there was a bunch of people in the jungle room or whatever. And that's how it was. It was like house or trance was the main music in the main room, and then like you had your hardcore and jungle in the smaller room. And for a while jungle was kind of popular, but it was never the most popular. Even, you know, and it's like heyday. I mean, obviously in England it's the most popular music, but in the United States it was never really that popular. It was always house and trance and stuff like that. So anyway, it went on like that for a while, and then we started going to Concrete Jungle, which was in Coney Island High on St. Mark's Place. If you ever been to like St. Mark's Place in New York, that's where all the like kind of like hippies and those type of people. But it was a punk scene type of thing though, really. Originally, like Coney Island High was mostly known for having like punk concerts, so they would let the like drum and bass people play there too. And of course, you know, at the time, it really was like some straight like hippie stuff. Like it was like you could go to the city at night, to a club at night, and just put your backpack behind the sofa and like no one would mess with it. And it was just this brief period in time for like maybe like 5 or 6 years where you could just go to the club, put your coat and your backpack behind a chair. Nobody would mess with it because everybody was just there to like have fun and listen to the music and stuff like that. And then around like 1998, that's when the mafia started to take over the rave scene, because they realized that all those people there were just there and they were like messed up or whatever, and no one was like really, you know, everyone was kind of in that mode where they had their defenses down, because for so long nobody had messed with it, because number one, it wasn't really making a lot of money. Like the illegal ones weren't making any money, and number two, people just thought we were weird. Right? Like most people just thought ravers were weird. And then around 98, first what happened was the b-boys started coming, right? Because like we had invented like this new dance style or whatever, like the rave dance style, right? And so all the break dance guys, they would come to like Concrete Jungle, and they would do like battle. We would do like dance battles between like rave style and break dance style stuff, and they would try to learn how to do the rave dances, and we would do break dances. I mean, I won this one dance battle with this guy. He was like, first I started doing like the regular like rave dance thing, and then because I like learned how to break dance or whatever, all of a sudden I just did like a headstand and started like spinning, like did like a headstand, and then I jumped back up, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and dude was like, I'm done. He was like, you just did like a headstand, spun around and jump back up on your feet. It's like, I was like, yeah, wrap it up, bro. But that was like probably like peak. But anyway, so then the mafia started coming in, specifically this gang from Brooklyn called BTS, because it was Brooklyn Terror Squad or whatever. I'm not sure if it was the same terror squad that like Fat Joe and Big Pun were in, but because they're not from Brooklyn, they're from the Bronx. So it was a different gang. And then, yeah, it got horrible. once the mafia came in there like that, it was horrible. First they started stealing everybody's backpacks, right? Because that was the easiest thing, right? And then they started doing home invasions. Like they would like act like they were ravers, and then, you know, people would be like, oh, you coming back for the after party? And they'd be like, oh yeah, and we're coming back for the after party. Where's your house? And that just pretty much ruined the whole thing. And then, you know, basically the mafia took over the whole like party scene because they had like the enforcers, and then they took over the selling of, you know, the stuff or whatever. And you can see that, like, you know, where you see like Sammy the Bull Gravano's son, that's how he got caught, because he was selling, you know, stuff in Arizona after he got relocated. Which, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's kind of like it's like, come on, man. But anyway, I mean, that was basically it. It wasn't very much to it, but that, I mean, I hear people say that all the time, where it's like, oh, it's loud music. Yeah, but we brought girls with us. We didn't like go there looking for girls, because it was more like inviting a girl to a concert or a movie or something like that, as opposed to going to the nightclub, like hunting down chicks or whatever. It wasn't the same thing, right? So yeah, I mean, I just really wasn't that like deep into getting like super fucked up, because like I said, you know, I was always carrying around my records, and we had to watch out for the chicks and stuff like that and all that other stuff. So, and plus back then I was like in the gym like every day at school, so people weren't really trying to mess with us like that. But that's what I'm saying, though. It was just a different time period. Like if you watch Kids, it like it really was a lot like that. Like NASA, you know, I mean, nobody was getting hard on my watch. I'm sorry, that wasn't happening. That part of the movie wasn't happening. At least as much as I know, you know. So that part was kind of like put in there. I think the whole AIDS thing was kind of there to scare people too a little bit, you know. It was a way to like, because they were like opened up the free sex, but then they had to like close down the free sex, so they try to scare all the kids by telling them they're gonna get this disease. That really was kind of hard to get unless you're like gay or shooting up needles or whatever. No offense to gay people, but I'm just saying that's the physics of it. I mean, it's easier for women to get too, I think. And really, it's hard. The hardest is like if you're a straight guy, as long as you're not like crazy. But like, I don't know. We went to like this one party. It was like super underground, and we didn't even get to the party. We were at the checkpoint. And it was just nuts, because we ended up being the people at the checkpoint, taking the password and telling the people which train to take to get to the next checkpoint. And it was kind of fun, because like we saw like everybody that was going to the party, and people were just very generous, I'll say that much. And we were like, yeah, and then you got to take this train, and then you got to take that train to here. And it was weird because it was like somewhere in Brooklyn, and it was like overlooking this huge empty like construction yard or whatever. So it was like you were in the city, but then there was no buildings there, and there was just like a train station like hanging on the edge of like a ditch, and we were just standing there all night. Pretty fun. One of those things where you had to be there, I guess, because all the people that passed through, we got a lot of stories, and people were like, oh man, here, take this, here, oh, I gotta get on this train, what? And we're like, yeah, man, you gotta get on that train. But that's how it was, though. people didn't even really think much of taking the train, because like a lot of people probably don't remember going postal. You guys remember going postal? People going postal? There was like that, and there was that one guy. It was like a black guy on the train in New York, and he got on with like a SMG, like a Uzi or something, and he shot like 30 people in the train car. That was like crazy. People don't even remember that. I bet you a lot of people don't even remember that. That was like going postal was like the original like mass booter, because back then it was like everybody was getting laid off, and all the stability from like the 60s and 70s kind of like traditional families was breaking down because of the no-fault divorce. And so, you know, I remember a lot of people's dads got laid off, like a lot of people. Like I remember it was on the news. It was like huge layoffs. Everybody, all the jobs are getting exported to Japan and China, and everybody's getting laid off. And then it was like the divorce level just went up like super high. And all the guys, they all hated their mom, because obviously they saw what was going on. I didn't really experience that because like most of my family members stayed together, you know. All my aunts and uncles and grandparents, like I didn't even really hear about anybody getting a divorce until that point. How the hell do you get out of here? So it wasn't really something that I knew about. And yeah, like it was the same thing with like my cousin. I didn't really believe in condoms because he was always wearing condoms. He was like one of those guys that had like condoms in his back pocket or in his wallet or whatever. Like he was like one of the original pickup artists. Like he was like the type of guy. He was like, you know what, you always got to have a pen, a pad to get the numbers. And this was like in like 85. Like I remember clearly that back that far, he was like, you got to have the pen, you got to have the pad, you got to get their number. He's like, you got to have gum. And he's like, you got to have a lighter. He didn't smoke cigarettes. He's like, you got to have a lighter in case they want to smoke cigarettes, or lighter or matches. And he would just go around, and no matter where he was, if he was at the store or at the park, or like we went to Great Adventure one time, Six Flags, and he was going nuts, man. He couldn't even wait in line for the rides. He was like, oh, I got so many girls' numbers, I'm gonna call all of them. And he really did. He would sit there and he would call them all, and he'd be like, hey baby, what's up, you remember me from the wherever? And he'd be like, how you doing? And that's like pretty much how he got in there with all these chicks. But then he told me one day like how he used a condom, but I like it didn't click then, but now it makes complete sense. He was like, yeah, and then after I busted the third nut inside the condom, I'm like, well, yeah, maybe that's why it broke. Maybe that's why it freaking broke. But then I just was like, these don't fucking work. Like he's got like two kids, and he's talking about using them all the time and shit. So I was like, whatever, man. So I just didn't have any experiences like that with people getting like divorced, except for like my friends, and it was kind of like, you know, like a third person perspective of it. It wasn't like an immediate family member or anything like that. And most of them, by the time, you know, I met them in high school, their parents were already divorced for like a while or whatever. So yeah, it sucked. I mean, I'm sure most people were not divorced, but those are the people that were like outside, you know, because there was a lot of like black chicks that went to our school too, but their parents were also super conservative like my parents, so they pretty much would disappear after school. Like all the like black chicks, they would just like, it's like, do you see any black chicks around here? No, they all got picked up by their dad like immediately at 3:30 and driven home. So it was like, no, there wasn't really a lot of black chicks like hanging out, because they were all like, all their parents were super conservative. Like the one chick, her dad was like a judge in the town, and then a couple of other ones, their dads were like high-powered businessmen, like lawyers and all that other stuff. So they were like, no, you're not hanging out after school with these crazy liberal white people. Because that's what it was, really, right? It was like conservative black people living with liberal white people. I remember the first time, like, I went to with my friend's house, and he was like in my Boy Scout troop or whatever. He was Jewish, but that was not the point, really. But it was like, we were in the car, and he was in the car with his mom. His mom was driving the minivan or whatever, and she said something to him, and he said, "I don't give a shit, Mom." And he was like 12. I flinched for him. I was like recoiling. I was like, block. I was like, oh, I've got to block. It's time to block. Like, he was 12, and he was like, "I don't give a shit, Mom." I was like, bro, like, my parents wouldn't even allow us to drink coffee when we were 17. They were like, "Oh, just wait till you're 18. Then you can have some coffee. This is for adults." Coffee's for adults. I'm like 17. I'm like smoking cigarettes at like Dunkin' Donuts, and like blazing trees, drinking beer. But then when I go home, I'm like not allowed to drink coffee. I'm like, okay, you know, these like liberal kids, like their parents aren't even home. Like they just go home after school, like start playing PlayStation and like eating like ramen noodles. My parents were like, pick me up right after school. So like I just didn't have any time to myself. None. You know, I guess nowadays they call it helicopter parenting or whatever. Where it's like your parents are just on your ass 24/7, 365. What are you doing? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? Oh, I heard you and your friends laughing too loud. That was like the worst one, my brother. Can you guys pipe it down there? You guys are laughing way too loud. Too much fun. Not too much. It's that your fun is angering me. So that, you know, like I started cutting class way before smoking trees. Like I started cutting class in like 8th grade because I was on the wrestling team. I was on the swim team, playing lacrosse, doing all my homework, and I just didn't have any free time to myself. Like I never had time to myself, like ever. It was always somebody there monitoring what you're doing, or, "Oh, you did this? Why'd you do this? It was that." You know what I mean? It was just like always like, "Why'd you do this? What are you doing down there? What are you doing here? What are you doing there?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not doing anything." It got to the point where it's like, "Look, I'm building a bomb down here. I'm about to blow up the whole house. Like, what do you think I'm doing?" Like, I'm like drinking lemonade and eating like popcorn or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing down there? What are you doing?" So naturally, having no time to myself, the only time I was like, "Oh wow, like you could just cut one of these classes. You could just skip one of these classes, and then you could just like walk around the school like silently, and nobody's like telling you what to do, and there's nobody like monitoring you." And I was like, this is amazing. I was like, wow, you don't have to go to class. And then what happened was it culminated in us basically, since there was nowhere to go and I was on the stage crew, we knew how to get up into the scaffolding of the theater or whatever, where you adjust the like spotlights and stuff, because we were on the stage crew. So you'd go up to like where the lights, like the light panel was, with all the like big like handles and stuff. I mean, that's what we used to do. We used to like wire the stage lights into different like configurations and stuff, so you could have different color. We would mess around with it, like make like red and blue patterns, or so it would look like a 3D kind of effect, or change the spotlights, the angle of the spotlights and stuff like that for the different plays. And it was kind of cool because it was like a really old school like panel where it had these huge like rubber connector wires, like rubber wires, and then it was almost like a huge like headphone jack that was like maybe like 3 inches in diameter. That's like across, right? So, you know, we would just be in there plugging them in and unplugging them and messing with the lights all the time. And then we were like, oh wait, you can climb up this other ladder, and then it takes you up into the ceiling and the scaffolding, and then you can like change the angle of the lights. And then all the way in the back of there was just like this concrete platform, like at the end. And then there was like this tiny little door that was like maybe about like 2 feet high. And it was like a square door, and that opened up and you can go out onto the roof. So then we all started hanging out up there, smoking cigarettes and stuff like in between classes, and a couple of kids brought like alcohol from their house and stuff, and we like take shots, and pretty much we were doing nothing. We were just up there smoking cigarettes and drinking, but yeah, we were in like 8th grade, so obviously people got a little pissed off about that. And then what happened was, basically how we got caught was this one dumbass guy wanted to come, but he wasn't really in the thing. And he didn't know how to get up there. And there was this other way to get up there through basically the ticket booth in the theater, like in the front. But the ticket booth itself wasn't open. It just had one of those little like ticket window things, like those little it's like a half moon shape, like ticket window, like an old school wooden ticket window. And because he was so small at the time, he could like slide through the ticket window, and he got caught. That's how it always is. It's always the other guy that you didn't invite that doesn't really know how to do it, and he just wants to get involved, but he doesn't really know what's going on. And then the teacher, I guess they saw him slide through the thing, and then we all got caught. And we had like a half a gallon of vodka and like 2 packs of cigarettes, and we were like lighting plastic forks on fire and shit. Oh my god, our parents were pissed as fuck, man. They were like, "You guys are nuts, man. How'd you get a half a gallon of vodka?" We were like, So that was like the start of it. That was the start of it. And then when I went to high school, it was open campus, so they couldn't really do anything. And then it just got real bad. Like, I think it was like that summer, like summer of 9th grade, that's when I fucking smoked trees or whatever. But it wasn't like I was smoking it every day. And really the problem was, it wasn't that I was smoking the trees. The problem was that my parents were just complete assholes. And I get it. You're like, oh, well, what are your parents going to do, right? But the thing was, I would literally just smoke the trees with my friends, and then I would go home and do my homework. Yeah. You're like, what? You would go home and do your homework? Yeah. Yeah, I would go home and do my homework. So that's the way I always looked at it. I was like, if I had kids, I'll be like, as long as they're doing their homework and they're not like doing like heroin or some shit like that, I don't really care, you know, because I think that's more important. So basically, you know, my dad started fucking harassing the hell out of me for going home, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, I smell like cigarettes, I get that, but I'm going home and I'm doing my homework. Right? Like the fact that I was going home after school, you know, I was still just hanging out with my friends for like an hour after school and then go home, do my homework. But they were like, you smell like cigarettes, blah, 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 blah. And my dad started harassing me, strip searching me basically every time I came in the house. And I'm like, man, these cigarettes cost money, man. These cigarettes, back then, inflation's crazy, because back then you could get 2 packs of cigarettes and a soda for $5. Yeah, right, that's crazy talk nowadays, right? You can't even get a pack of cigarettes for $5 now. So every time I would come home, and then he would rough me up and search all my stuff, and they even got to the point where they would wait for me to go to sleep. They would wait for me to go to sleep, and then they would come in my room at night and like go in my pants and take stuff out of my pants pocket. Right. So obviously you can see how that would kind of make you distrust your parents, because you're kind of like, I get people are gonna go, oh, but you were a drug addict. But it's like, I could see if I wasn't coming home and I was not doing my homework and all that other stuff, and I was getting into some other type of trouble too. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But still, to me, at the time, I was just like, bro, like, you're completely violating my trust. You're sneaking in my room at night. If I walk in the house, you're there standing at the door to strip search me. To strip search me. For freaking cigarettes, when everybody in the town smoking cigarettes. Like, literally, we would go to Dunkin' Donuts in the middle of downtown, in the town, and they would let us walk in there, buy coffee, and smoke cigarettes. So I was just confused why my parents were so strict about it, right? I mean, back then, you could get cigarettes in the vending machine, right? And then they changed it to you being only able to use quarters, as if that was gonna stop kids from getting cigarettes out of the vending machine. Like, there's the bar in town where they had a back door, and the back door was like, no one ever went in the back door of the bar, so you could just walk in there because it was right next to the grocery store, so it didn't even look like you were doing anything. You just walk in there and just buy a pack of cigarettes out of the vending machine. Right? And nobody really cared. Nobody cared. They would see the kids, they would see us walking around smoking cigarettes. Nobody cared, except for my parents. And they were like, went like nuclear. Like, oh my God, you smoking a cigarette, man. Right? But then, you know, their friends were smoking cigarettes. I mean, they used to drink and stuff like that. They used to drink, like, casually drink or whatever. So I was just kind of confused. I'm like, everybody around here is smoking. Nobody else has a problem with it. I mean, even some of my other friends, you know, their parents let them smoke at the house. Like, they had an ashtray in the garage, and their mom would come out and be like, hey, what's up? You guys want some lemonade? And we'd all be out there smoking cigarettes. So I was like, it was just my parents. It was like, just my parents were like flipping out about it. So I was just like, I don't understand what's going on here. So that's when I first stopped going home. It was, you see what I'm saying? The reason why I stopped going home wasn't because I was just smoking the trees and I was also like delirious and didn't know how to get home. No, it was because I tried to just go hang out with my friends, smoke a couple cigarettes, take a couple puffs of the trees, and then go home and do my homework. And they didn't like that. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to have you strip search me every time I come home and take my $3 worth of cigarettes. So then I just stopped going home, right? Then they started calling the cops. Like, oh my God, where is he? Oh, my son. Oh, you were outside for 2 hours after 3:30. Oh, I'm so worried. Oh, I can't imagine what would... Bro, it's like, bro. He's like, oh, I almost had a heart attack. You came home, it was 5:30. It was 5:30. The sun's still out, but I almost had a heart attack. Where were you? All right. So then after that,
I knew this city would be full of douchebags.
it just sucks because that in and of itself got me like a criminal record, because the fact that my parents were calling the cops on me. Like, nobody else was getting in trouble. Nobody else, because nobody else's parent. And so, like, the cops, they were, like, obligated to come and arrest me or whatever. And then people started getting pissed off at me because every time I was there, then the cops would show up. Because of my parents. So that nobody liked me. Because they saw it was like, I mean, it was bad. It got bad. It was like, because what we used to do is we used to just go hang out in town on like Friday night, and we would go and we would sit on the bank stoop next to the movie theater and shout at people while we were smoking cigarettes. Guy be on a date with his girlfriend. My one friend, he was like this Irish dude with like curly hair. He had like curly blonde hair. He was kind of like skinny and like had like a baby face. And he'd be like, "Hey, you fucker!" The guy's walking past with his girlfriend and shit. He'd be like, "Oh, you little piece of shit." And then sometimes the guys would fucking, there was this one time we were at the train station and like, you know, the train had train trestle or whatever. And so there was like probably like 40 stairs or whatever to get up the train, up to the train tracks. And this guy had this huge, heavy, you can tell it was heavy, like luggage. And he was just dragging it up one step at a time. And it was just like, and like where you got like almost to the top, my friend was like, "Hey, you fucker, pick that shit up," right? That guy was so pissed. He just dropped the bag, ran down the 40 flights of stairs on the one side, and then ran up the other 40 flights of stairs, or the 40 stairs on the other side. And he was like, "What'd you say, kid?" And he like got like right in my friend's face. You could tell it was like the first time like someone actually confronted him for doing it. And he was like, "Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, man." He's like, "Yeah, that looks kind of heavy." That's what we used to do. And then the cops, like, they were like, "Look, man, you guys are just too much in town." They're like, "We don't even care, really. Just go in the woods." They're like, "Just go in the woods, man." So then we started going in the woods, chasing turkeys and hanging out in the rock quarry, stuff like that.
I hate that closeted man whore on the TV. I hate him on the radio. I hate him even more in person. He was never funny. I've never even seen him before.
You know, we were mischievous, but we weren't like doing anything to hurt anybody at that time, right? And then so like, you know, I had the like two friends. The one guy that was like professional skateboarder, the guy that who the dad was in the mafia or whatever. And we used to live at his place, and it was like basically we were kind of living like junkyard dogs. Basically, that's like the best way I could explain it, because like his uncles lived in the house with his grandma, and they are all like mafia, like straight mafia. And his one uncle was like Hell's Angels, and his other uncle was, I don't know what he was in, but he was in something. But they were old, so they didn't really do anything. But he told me that they used to like beat him up all the time or whatever. And so we lived in the shed in the backyard. And yeah, they had like a broke down El Camino and this other car back there. So it was basically like a junkyard. And then we like lived in the shed, like in the junkyard. And it was just like set up like a couple mattresses back there. And pretty much I lived there for like 6 months, maybe like almost like close to a year. Because it was like, I lived there, and then I would go to school. You know, I would go to school during the day, and then my parents, I guess they just had a full-time APB for cops looking for me, or whatever. So it was just like, I would just be there all the time. But then they started doing coke. They started doing coke that early. Like my one friend, he was the one that died, that got beat by his dad or whatever. He had like got this one kid moved to our town from Newark, or actually from Irvington. And so, you know, he was in the Bloods or whatever. And so he had to connect to get the coke. This was like 30 years ago, so you can't like, I can't get in trouble for that. He had a connection to get it. And it was so cheap that it was like an 8-ball or whatever. And so it was like 8 like vials of coke or whatever. and he only had to sell 2 of them in order to get his money back. So he would just sell 3 of them and then go buy another 2 and do the rest. And that's how they started doing that shit. Right. And then so, because they were doing the coke, they would go out like every night and rob people and stuff. And I just was like sitting in the shed because I was there for a completely different reason. You know what I mean? I was just there because, you know, my parents were dicks or whatever. I mean, their parents were dicks too, but they were just more hardcore into doing that type of stuff. I was like, I don't really want to go like rob people all the time. Like, you know, it's a little too like high, like too high adrenaline for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like not really into it like that. But then eventually, you know, the whole like going to school, that was what was messing me up really, because I was still trying to go to school like the whole time. You know, the whole time throughout all this shit, I was still trying to go to school, and that's why they just didn't understand, because like they're like, wait a minute, you're getting a straight A's in AP biology. They're like, what? They're like, what? You weren't even at school today. Like, we didn't even see you there. Because that's how you used to do it. All you have to do is go to the homeroom class where they registered you for attendance, and then you could just cut all the other classes. And then so I would go to like English class at first. Then I got in trouble. I got in trouble in English class. I might have told the story before, but I made this cartoon because I used to just doodle in class or whatever. And I made this cartoon where it was like Nazi zombies or whatever. And so it was like zombies, and it was just like this picture where it was like because I was working on perspective at that time. So it was just like this huge perspective picture of like an army of zombies, but they all had like Nazi flags. Because I was kind of hinting at that's what school was like. But the problem was that the teacher of the class was Jewish. And I guess she didn't take kindly to me putting swastikas on my cartoon or whatever. And then so she like reported me to the principal, and I had to like apologize to her for like putting the swastikas on. I didn't know that she was Jewish. I wasn't like, oh, checking her last name. Oh, what's her last name? Something man at the end. Oh, it's a German last name? Oh. But you're not German, but you are German. I was like, you know, I didn't get it at the time. It was a completely innocent thing where I was just basically saying that, you know, school is like Nazis. Like, you know, school is like being in Nazi Germany with a bunch of zombies. But, so that was one thing. And then she didn't like my interpretation of Romeo and Juliet either. So that was the final straw in English class. Then so I just cut school for like pretty much like 2 years straight. I was living at the one guy's house, then I was living at the other guy's house, the guy from Newark, that we would go skateboarding and stuff. Because his mom didn't care. It was funny. He had like a water bed. I was like, this is so cool, man. He's got a water bed and you could smoke cigarettes in his room. And we would just chill and hang out. And that's when I got into the conspiracy stuff, because he was into the conspiracy stuff too. Like when I first met him, he was like, hey man, did you hear that all the planets are gonna align on what it was like August something. It was like August 17th. He's like, it's the same day as my birthday. And at first I thought he was bullshitting or whatever. So I went and looked it up, and it was like it really was like one of those like planetary alignment things where like it was like 3 or 4 planets were gonna like pass by each other. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? This is crazy shit. He was like, yeah, man. He was like, I told you. And he was like, you gotta listen to this music, man, because back then I used to listen to like ska punk and like listen to some hip hop. It was like mostly like ska punk and like hardcore, like Primus and Nirvana and stuff like that, grunge. And he was like, man, your clothes are like super tight, man. You're wearing these flannel shirts. He's like, you dress like a nerd, man. He's like, I gotta get you some style, man. He's like, I gotta help you out here. He's like, here, listen to this drum and bass music. And I'm like, oh, I like this. He's like, here, try these pants instead. And I was like, oh, these pants fit a lot better. And then he was like, yeah, man. He's like, you're in. But it's funny, I never went to a rave with him, but we used to go skateboarding and fishing all the time and stuff. And his mom was like super cool, like this Portuguese lady. She's like, oh, you guys, it's like, I just made like 3 different types of meat pasta. You guys want some? I'm like, I don't know. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, just eat as much as you want. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like his mom kind of understood, like, that my parents were dicks. But then eventually they called her and like threatened her and saying, oh, you can't let him, we're gonna call the cops on you if you let him stay there. So that was that. So that's why I started going out to the city or whatever, because they didn't have jurisdiction there. So then I would just, you know, go out to the city for like weeks at a time. Like I showed you, sleeping at Astor Cube, sleeping in Washington Square Park, hanging out with the skateboarders, you know, going over people's, like, we did all, like, pretty much everything in kids. You know, the house party, we were throwing peanut butter on someone's ceiling. I mean, I didn't do it, but people were doing it, you know. And then going to the house where there's like no adults there. Like there's like one like 18-year-old guy that's like paying rent and everybody else lives there. They're all like 14, 15, 16. So that was like fun. Because nowadays everybody's like so scared to like do anything. I'm not saying drugs, but just like in general. We used to be much more adventurous because you didn't know what was gonna happen, you know. No cell phone, no nothing. You walk outside, you meet up with your friends at the meetup spot at the meetup time, and if you were late, if you were like a half hour late to the meetup spot, then you might not know where we were because maybe we were in the woods, maybe we took the train to the city. Maybe we were at the skate spot. So it was like you had to like meet up at the meetup time, at the meetup place. And it did shift slightly over time. But for the most part, that was how it was. And then whatever you had in your pocket, that was what you had for the day. Those were your tools, you know. Whatever you brought. And so you had to like kind of bring stuff with you to make sure that you can make it through the day or whatever. It wasn't like, oh, we can call for backup now on the cell phone, and we can call somebody, oh, we forgot this, or oh, this guy didn't show up. What, we can just call. You can just call. And no, it's like you had to be prepared at least a little bit. I mean, I'm sure it was a lot worse like in the 50s and 60s and 70s, but for the most part, it was like you had to have your shit with you. And you had to be prepared for any type of situation because you never knew what was going to happen. You know, you could roll into somebody's town, and there'd be like 20 dudes hanging just like us, hanging out at their hangout spot, and then they'd be like, "Yo, where'd you guys come from?" And it just sucked because you couldn't like walk around by yourself. Like, so this is a whole nother side story, but like all the black kids besides me, like they were all like me, right? Their parent, like some of them, their parents were like richer than my parents, you know. Like we only had a 2-story house. Like a couple of them, like the one guy, like it was literally like the Huxtables, where like his dad was a doctor and his mom was a lawyer, and they had like a 3-story house, and they were completely normal. And then like one day in the 90s, like 95 or 9, like they all discovered hip hop like on the same day or something, and then they all started coming to school wearing like do-rags and talking like slang and shit. I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, last week you were talking like me, man, and now like your parents got BET and now you're like a thug or whatever. But it was whatever. But then the problem was, they would go around and start like fights with some of the white kids and try to like rob them and shit, even though they were, because some of the kids were from like Newark and Irvington and stuff, and they weren't rich, but some of them were, so it was kind of weird. And then so you just couldn't walk around by yourself back then, because you never know, somebody roll up on you and they'd be like, give me all your shit, man, or they would just beat you up just for no reason or whatever. So we would always like my one friend, he got jumped like so many times. I got jumped a couple times, but I don't know, they just didn't do a good job. Like the one time they cornered me in at the bus station. It was like 3 dudes, and they all didn't like me, and they cornered me in at the bus station, and they started like kicking and punching me in the face. But I don't know, I just put my hands up. I didn't really like fight back because it was kind of stupid. I just blocked my face. And I was like, and then me and my friend were laughing about it like the next day. I was like, damn, it was 3 of them. I was like, I don't even feel it. I'm like, I'm not even hurt. I'm like, you want to go skateboard? I don't know what it was. Maybe they just didn't want it bad enough or something. I don't know. Or maybe I wasn't fighting back. But like my friend, he got jumped a couple times too. Everybody got jumped back then. That was just how it was. If you were walking around by yourself,
Davey, how you doing?
About as good as can be expected, but the news is not good.
so like I started to like actually carry around like a master lock with me. Like I just got one, like a combination lock out of the Lost and Found or whatever, one of those ones that's stuck closed or whatever that someone forgot the combination to. And I would just walk around with that in my pocket. I mean, it's a perfect pair of brass knuckles, right? It's like weighted, and then you just put it, slide your finger through and push it up with your palm so they don't break your finger. And it's just a coincidence that as soon as I started carrying that around, I guess you just walk more confidently or something, and then people don't fuck with you because you're like, yeah, I'm not in the mood to get fucked with right now. So that's kind of how it was, at least back then, because that was pre Columbine, right? And then I remember when Columbine happened, and then everything changed, and then they started bringing in the psychologists to the schools, and kids couldn't roughhouse anymore, which I think made it worse, kind of. Because I mean, even we were in the suburbs, and it was pretty rough. I mean, in between the black kids that were from like Newark and Irvington fucking with us all the time, and then the kids from the other towns fucking with us all the time, and us fucking with them.
What do you need?
You kind of get to expect, and people are gonna fuck with you or whatever.
The agency claims he's dead. We at the Bureau think they're full of crap. We think he's being...
And so that's how it was. And most of my friends, they weren't really into the rave thing because they were white, so they were like more deep into the hip hop thing. White liberals. So they were like deep into like Wu-Tang. They're like, man, you hear this Wu-Tang Clan, this new Wu-Tang Clan? I'm like, bro. Did you hear the new Smashing Pumpkins? They're like, I don't listen to that crap. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? They're like, yo, check out DMX's new album. To my one friend, my next door neighbor, he was like super into Tupac. He had like every Tupac album. He'd be in his room like, oh, all eyes on me. And I'm like, bro. And I'm at home listening to like Nirvana. I'm like, yo, Bleach is the best album. Nirvana Bleach is the best album ever, bro. Like, have you heard Submission by the Sex Pistols? I'm like, that's a deep song, man. And then they're like, bro, I just got this new Rakim album. Did you hear DMX? So eventually it just kind of crossed over. Once like we all started listening to like Liquid Swords. It was like Liquid Swords and freaking the Purple Tape, fucking Only Built for Cuban Links or whatever. And we would sit there, blaze up, and then we would like try to like do the drum patterns and stuff. Like my one friend, because he was a drummer, and then he showed us how to do like the drum patterns, and we would like sit there in the room doing like air drums, trying to like mimic the like drum patterns from like the beats and stuff. Pretty fun stuff. So it wasn't like we were just like nuts or whatever. And then we would sit there and like talk about like physics. We'd be like, man, especially airflow blunts. Like we would sit there, we would roll blunts, and then we would like have like physics discussions about the blunts. Like, yeah, but what about the air to matter ratio? And we'd be like, yeah, if it has this much oxygen in it, it's gonna burn at this rate, and then you gotta put this much of the material in, and then you gotta roll it like this and take off this much. And like the guys from Newark, they didn't know how to roll blunts at all. And they had like super amounts of trees or whatever. And we're like, bro, you guys are like wasting all these trees. Because what they would do is they would take, what the hell happened? They would like take the blunt and like fill it up. And then they would like put it on like a book or like something flat and hard, like a book or like a magazine. And then they would take it and like, like roll it in their palm, like roll it as tight as possible. Like you're like rolling like a roll of clay and you're trying to like flatten it out, like make it as thin as possible. And we're like, bro, like you just like wasted all that trees, because it's like basically just like a stick now and there's no oxygen going through it. And then so like we had to show them how to roll blunts. We're like, bro, you can't do that. Like it's just like a stick now that's like burning at the end. You're not getting. Then you'd be sitting there, they're like you're about to pass out. Try to get like a pull. So we taught Nork how to roll blunts. They're like, oh man, if you go to that town, those guys, they really know how to do a blunt. So it wasn't a hood thing. I mean, yeah, it was a hood thing, but it was like we pretty much were the original. Like, you know how like Snoop Dogg has like a professional blunt roller or whatever? That job wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for us. Man, on the West Coast, everybody was smoking joints. And on the East Coast, nobody knew how to roll a blunt except for us. I'm telling you. Like we would sit there and be like, oh, but what about the airflow of this? And dudes would like pull out their like physics textbooks and shit. It'd be like, yeah, but the ratio is like this though, man. And the combustion ratio for oxygen. And I'm like, yeah. Like, you just got to do it a little loose. That's all. You don't got to do calculus or whatever. But yeah. Luckily, like the Columbine thing was like the last. I was like already like a senior or whatever, because they definitely started to like crack down on those type of kids like us that were like the kind of like misfit outsider kids that were into rough housing and all that stuff. And then because they couldn't figure out what to do with us, they gave us all psychological tests, because none of us were dumb. None of us. Even my one friend who was like illiterate. The reason why he was illiterate is because he obviously had some type of emotional trauma when his dad died, because he was the youngest one. I think he was only like 3 or 4 when his dad died. So like he obviously had a hard time paying attention at school because he was like emotionally distressed or whatever. Because both of his brothers that are older, like they're both like high level like businessmen, you know, and not illiterate or whatever. So obviously it's not a genetic thing that he was illiterate, even though he was the smallest one, but still. I mean, he's a very good businessman. Saying that, he definitely did a lot of business, and he definitely made a lot of money doing the business. That's what it was like. Like when I went out to Jersey City or whatever, like recently, like in the last 10 years or whatever, then he introduced me to this one guy who was Jewish, just coincidentally. And apparently he was like the biggest guy in our town. I never even met the kid before. And he was like, yeah, I'm getting out of the game. He's like, I'm about to buy $1 million apartment cash in Manhattan from selling trees. I'm like, bro. And I'm here like, I went to college, man. And people are hating on me. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, he was supplying everybody. He was like the money man basically behind the whole thing. I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm about to buy this $1 million apartment in the city in like downtown Manhattan. But back then, like the one guy, he had this dude that lived in Newark. It was like a Jamaican guy. And he would come to his house. Like nobody cared. Like the guy would come to his house. It's like nobody even noticed. Like this Jamaican dude pulling up to his house in a Lexus at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon after school. And then like he would just run out real quick out the front door and like run back into the house. Nobody was paying attention to what we were doing. They were just like, we were just some dumb kids or whatever. So it was like, he was getting that shit from like Newark or whatever. That's how it was. But yeah, like I was saying, some of the guys, they were, you know, more into the like other shit than I wasn't into, robbing people and getting chicks on that stuff. Like the one guy whose dad was in the mafia or whatever. Oh, I gotta be Trevor. It was bad because he met this chick from Short Hills, where I don't know if you know about Short Hills. It's basically like this really rich town.
Well, maybe I'll come back in my seersucker.
Like, she had a Toyota Celica when she was like 17, like a brand new Toyota Celica. And, you know, because he was like 23 or whatever, he was like, yeah, we're going to a liquor store. And she was like totally fine, totally normal family. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's totally a normal family, but it looked totally normal. And she was just like a totally normal, like, Valley girl type of high school chick driving her Toyota Celica around. And then she started dating him. And then they moved to Florida. And it was basically like, what was that movie? Requiem for a Dream. Where it was like, he ended up having a heart attack from using dirty needles and shit or whatever, because he was so hooked on heroin and shit. And he was like using dirty needles or whatever, and he had a fucking heart attack at like 30. And I think that kind of woke him up a little bit. But you know, he completely, like, she was like going to jail and stuff and all this other shit, when before that she was just like some normal Valley girls type of shit. I was just never one of those, you gotta try this, man, people. I don't know, because I saw people try it and they would get fucked up. So I was like, this isn't good to like get people to try it. You know, it was always girls too. It was always girls. They would try it and then they would just get in super trouble, like, immediately.
Trevor is
Trevor is a...
Trevor is a what?
Trevor is a good guy. He's got family, got kid, ain't he, Floyd? That's it, right, yes, Trevor. but the thing is, I ain't been with that many women. I don't find it easy, and,
Oh, damn.
Deborah,
Still caught.
we're getting
Alright,
married,
damn.
so...
Oh, that's beautiful.
But I'm scared that she's gonna leave me. I mean, this is her place, and the fornicating? There's Mr. Raspberry Jam.
Whoa, whoa! Now, Mr. Raspberry Jam, he died a noble death, bringing great joy to a lonely man.
I ain't got a very big penis. Some girls laugh when they look at it.
Wow, show me. Show me,
No,
boy!
I don't want to.
Mine ain't nothing special, but this boy gets the job done. All right? Now, Wade here says that you work at the docks.
Yes.
Look at me!
Can you just put your Johnson away, sir? Yes, I work at the docks.
And? Anything interesting there for a man like me?
Well, I mean, I don't rightly know. What kind of person are you?
Oh, I'm that kind of person, Floyd. I am that kind of person. Now, let's get you, Wade, and that little tormentor down there to put these on. We are going for a ride. Gentlemen, the gateway to America awaits. Ron, we got an inside man at the port of LS. I'm gonna send you some information. I need you on point to help plan things.
I got it, T. I really miss...
You know where the port is?
In an office? Sure, you do Pilates. Yes, your wife earns more money than you do. But don't let anyone tell you...
Come on then, Floyd. What you got for me?
Like I said, I don't rightly know what we got. You're going to have to be more exact in your questioning, sir.
We're looking for something to steal.
Sir, I stole a pencil in elementary school, and I've been regretting it ever since. Boy, always work a stick in the mud. Look, sir, please, just tell me what you want, and I'll do my utmost to assist you in finding it.
Here's the problem. I don't know what I want. It's a bit, well, like pornography or a perfect turn. I can't quite describe it, but I'll know it when I see it.
You ain't aiding my comprehension.
All right. Well, how's this? $236 billion worth of cargo came through the port of Los Santos last year.
He's real good with numbers.
I don't want to hijack a truck full of pineapples, Floyd. You need to give us the inside track on what's coming through.
We don't know what's in the containers. They certainly don't put price tags on them.
Have you noticed anything? Anything different? Anything that might indicate something?
Well, there's been all these Merryweather boats hanging around.
Merryweather's supposed to be like Blackwater.
Private army to the New World Order?
My butt's gone
The folks waging outsourced shadow wars in 20 countries around the globe and recently cleared to operate on U.S. soil?
That, sounds like them.
So there's a private militia in the port. What are they guarding?
This one freighter, I guess now that you mention it, it ain't quite right.
A freighter. Perfect. Can I get on board?
No, they won't let you anywhere near it. They're kind of assholes about it, actually. The other day, my colleague, Ralph...
I don't give a shit about Ralph. We gotta take a look. Is there anything else?
There's another bunch of Merryweather guys out by the Navy warehouse. They got boats.
Go park and get the dispatch.
Yep, will do.
Go park and get the dispatch. Come on, shift's about to start.
Here comes the soup. I gotta check in.
Remember, Floyd, this can go real wrong real quick.
It don't matter what went in his mouth. It matters what came out.
We got a waste spillage and I got a slot on the cleanup crew.
There is nothing that Wade here ain't gonna do for a warm meal.
Hope you got a strong stomach, son. Get in there.
You gonna take me to see this freighter?
Yeah, it's over here.
You ever got helicopters coming in and out of here? You know, those big sky crane things that can pick up a whole container? So how's a man in a hurry supposed to get in and out of this place?
Well, we got a port that's stretched to 50 feet.
You know, what's the Coast Guard response like?
Well, they got cutters, 45-foot response vessels, air support. You're not gonna move much faster than them, especially if you're carrying something.
Maybe I'll have to saddle you up and ride you across the Miriam Turner overpass.
I just said they have the water surface real covered.
Okay.
Now, this is restricted airspace. They won't let anything out of here without clearance. Shoot it down if they have to.
They ain't part of nothing. Government contractors, bullshit. Government's done enough to strip us of our collective bargaining.
That is the freighter I told you about.
What do you think they got on it?
We just stevedore them. We ain't meant to know what's in the containers.
But?
But these are marked military. Government.
Anything weird about that?
The government stuff is hot freight. Pulls up, goes right through. This stuff's just been sitting here.
You are beginning to arouse my curiosity.
Over there, 2 o'clock. Looks like Forrest got on the wrong side of some Merryweather guys.
You! We need 2 guys on the handler. Couple of containers and Bay B gotta be brought up to F. That ain't a question. Get on it. Now!
Up here, okay?
I guess I gotta pretend I'm a dock worker if I want to stay. How about I run that prick over in this thing?
I thought you wanted to scope the place. We don't get the containers, they're gonna check your card. Oh, I'm getting nervous.
You're always nervous. Relax.
Not always, sir. Just around you. And it's just Cousin Wade's on his own. He better hold it together, stick to the story.
He'll be fine. Boy's on a waste clearance crew. He's never happier than when he's neck deep in shit.
They're gonna check us. Be careful. Please, just don't.
Oops.
Those are the containers in Bay B. Trevor! Clamp it on now. Okay, we got it. Let's take her down to Bay F.
I know why they call them handlers, because they handle like a dream.
This ain't a toy, sir. It's heavy machinery.
Thank fuck I'm high as a kite.
You should not be operating this vehicle while under the influence.
I'll operate you under the influence if you're not careful. You happy? Now I'll get the other one for you. Me, anyway. I'm gonna need a better view of that freighter.
I'm sorry, but this is as close as you going to get.
Nah. I need to take some pictures. Send them to my guy, Ron. I'll need a proper view.
There's the crane, but...
Crane! Perfect!
Oh, shoot. Hook it up!
Hey, whose dick you have to suck to get this job? Being a stevedore used to be back-breaking work. Now you're paid brain surgeon bucks to push an oversized shopping cart.
I did not fellatiate no one to get this job. Deborah's old friends with the... well, with the...
With the say no more. You didn't fillet no one, but darling Debbie probably did. She probably enjoyed it.
Crap. It's too late for this one.
How about I run that...
Alright. I'll be back in a little bit with some tragedy and hope. Hope you're ready for that. Still on World War I. Alright. Till then, peace.